Well, it'll be a great opportunity for both programs to come out on a great weekend to support two great programs, but more importantly, our city of Columbia being able to have a football game on Saturday versus Tennessee. And then Friday, starting at 6 p.m., we have an unbelievable volleyball game that I want our fans to make sure they go out and support before arriving at our game. I think that's very important as our volleyball team, Coach Sullivan and her girls, are doing a tremendous job, and they're in the final phases of their season, and it's going to be implications of possible NCAA tournament. So we support her. And then just walk over to Mizzou Arena and figure out if you're ready to have an electric atmosphere with two good programs. I respect Penny Hardaway and what he's done, the tradition of Memphis basketball, but also where we are. It's a great opportunity in front of our fans, in front of our city, to be able to play a caliber game of this magnitude with NCAA implications as well, and see where we are. And I'm excited about that opportunity early on in our schedule for game number 2.
Questions?
Hey, Coach, is there any difference in preparation playing a team like Memphis so early on in the season as opposed to last year where the build-up was a little bit slower, or the ramp-up was a little bit longer?
So our scheduling last year, we still played some great mid-major teams last year, but this is a high major program coming in here early. I think our first opportunity at Mizzou Arena was in December against Kansas last season, which gave us probably 8 or 9 games under our belt. Game number 2 for both programs and both teams. It's early. Both programs have a lot of new faces and some great players at that. And it's going to come down to, obviously, us being able to do the things that we plan on doing, having a positive assist-to-turnover ratio, shooting a high percentage from behind the arc, but also at the free throw line, but making sure we're able to defend and just make some good plays down the stretch. It's going to be a tough game.
I mean, looking at this Memphis team, what are some of the things that they do well?
I think they initiate a lot of their offense in different phases. They run. It's a transition team as well. They do great things off the dribble. They are tremendous in certain areas defensively. They still shoot the ball well. It's a different team because I think this is one of Coach Hardaway's most talented teams that he's had, top to bottom. You look at their roster, you look at the transfers that they have in, tremendous set of players and great coaching.
Coach, you played against both Jaquan Walton and Javon Quinterly last season. What are some things that stick out to you on tape with them, and how do you plan on limiting their success?
They're great players, man. They are great players, tremendous experience, and also come from great programs. That's what I look at the most. Jaquan Walton was a kid that, started his career elsewhere, transferred to Wichita, had a great season last year, transferred to Alabama, but obviously ended up at Memphis. And he's a heck of a player. I believe he's a pro. Javon Quinterly the same way. He's seen basketball at a high level. These guys are talented players playing at Alabama in the system, in the SEC. Tremendous success last season for that group, SEC champions. That's not it, though. They have another former McDonald's All-American in Brown. They have Dandridge back. Unbelievable guard play and some transfers that come in. I think we're both, meaning both programs are at the phase of galvanizing their team finding an identity, but also finding that rhythm after game 1. So it'll be an interesting game, too, for both programs.
Dennis, I heard on Monday you got a pregame speech from David Stewart. I'm just kind of curious what that meant for the program and what was it like having someone up, kind of outside of basketball, giving you guys a pregame speech?
Wow. You do some good research then. Well, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that Dave Stewart, founder of Worldwide Technologies, came in and visited our program, gave our guys a pregame speech, pregame talk, but more importantly, his story. His story is tremendous. Being able to, fail in 2 businesses and then become one of the most successful businesses throughout the world from a global standpoint is unreal. He talked about, I think, the 10 ways for leaders to grow. He's a tremendous man. I've read his book, unbelievable book, and he talked about serving, love. He talks about imagine, invest, risk, trust. What else was it? Share, follow, grow, celebrate. And he was just able to share certain things with our guys from the standpoint of the biggest obstacle being yourself, not getting in the way of yourself, believing in yourself, not allowing narratives to be thrown on you, but to have that internal belief, obviously doing it with an unbelievable amount of faith, in the man upstairs, which is a key component in his life, in my life, but also in a lot of our players' lives. And I'm just thankful that he talked to our group about not allowing other people to influence you, but being an inspiration to others, being selfless, own it, believe it. You know, his success is, I mean, it's staggering to have a person who served on our board of curators from 2011 to 2016 of that stature come talk to our guys. I just wish the world and many more people knew his story, knew who he is and what he's about. Unbelievable person. We're blessed, and I'm blessed to have his friendship along the way, and obviously his support. His son was able to be here too, Dave Stewart II, Grammy Award winning, producer in animation, and they brought his son, meaning his grandson. So we had 3 generations of the Stewart family here supporting us, and he's one of 13 black billionaires in the country, in the world. So tremendous guy. Graduated from Central Missouri back in the day. I can't say enough, and I'm just thankful our guys, our players, got to know who he is, got to meet him, but also was led by his strong words before the game.
Coach, this group that you signed yesterday, and I know obviously you tailor your recruiting to each individual kid, but is there anything in this group that is now number 2 in the nation that was a common thread in your message to them that won them over, that excited them?
Well, our staff did a great job identifying. I think when we first got here, everyone was looking at why we was offering so many class of 2024 kids. And I think it became a joke, why is Missouri offering all these kids? And we set out to establish ourselves nationally as a program that's growing. And once you establish yourself in that way, you have to reach out, you have to extend yourself, because recruiting is a very, very important part of any organization. But now you structure that in a way where you get the kids interested in the success of your current team, meaning last year's team. They followed that. They were able to see the growth and development of our guys with their future in basketball, academics, with Kobe Brown being the SEC Student Athlete of the Year. And then you follow that with official visits, personalizing and meeting everyone that they met, from Moon Choi. I thank Moon Choi, our president, for his involvement in the recruiting process, meaning being available when we've had visits. I thank Desiree Reed-Francois for her involvement, because it took a village and we made it a village approach. And obviously these guys, their families, friends, loved ones, they watch the support of a basketball program in social media, but also in person. And it was unbelievable support from everyone. So when you look at, all our kids from Trip Burns, you look at, let's say, Honor Boateng, you look at T.O. Barrett, Marcus Allen, Peyton Marshall, you look at these kids, and I'm glad I can mention their name now, right? You look at these young kids, but you look at their families, their support system. These kids stopped going on official visits because they knew they wanted to be here. They knew the connectivity that they had with our staff, our current roster, but also the style of play and where they wanted their futures to go. I'm thankful. I'm very thankful, but I'm thankful for the partnership of everyone involved, from our academic advisors, strength and conditioning coach, everyone that met with these kids during their visits to tell them about Mizzou. That's important. That's very important. And the next phase of that is their development, finishing this year, checking into campus as early as they can, and starting their process of having a great freshman season.
Dennis, looking inwardly, what are some things that you want to see carry over from Monday? What are some things that you would like to take off the
I
table?
want to have a better assist-to-turnover ratio. I thought 13 turnovers were too many. I thought we had a single-digit number, and then there was a spell maybe in the game or with my substitution pattern that I got to be more cognitive of and not put guys in bad situations. The other thing is I want to see us carry over, like I said, our free throw percentage and our three-point percentage. Those things are very important to us. We want to have a sort of margin of possessions, and that goes into different categories. It goes into the analytics of the game at which we see it. I am thankful for our connectivity and what our guys have been doing and allowing them to see it put to action because of what they've been able to do behind the scenes when the lights are not as bright. The hard work in the weight room, the hard work in the in the individual workouts and conditioning, nutrition-wise. I just wish Connor Vanover was able to be eligible because he deserves it. Again, he's sitting out not because of anything he did wrong, but because the loophole in the system allowed a senior who had 2 more years of being a senior to become in Portsmouth Invitational. And I don't think the rules changed to fit these guys and their eligibility.
Just as having this game so early in the schedule, having so many new players,
Mhm.
seeing up Connor, but is there a benefit to holding our feet to the fire this early in the season?
Yeah, I thought when you look at our Kansas game, and I think you guys have been front row and center for it, we learned a lot after that game, preparing for that game, that allowed us to continue to move forward as a program. Being able to gain some strength through adversity is important for any team. When you look across the country, you see unbelievable games being played. I think that format is going to continue to show up. They do it in football a little bit more than basketball, but most importantly, our season is a lot longer, and you want to have a gradual climb, and I get it, but it's a contrast to last season. We want this team to be put in a situation that allows our fans to come see great basketball, unbelievable basketball here at Mizzou Arena, which they deserve to see because of their support. We want to see who we are as a program as we continue to build in these infant stages. We have not arrived yet, right? We haven't. So we want to continue to see who we are and try to make sure we're dotting every I, crossing T's in our development, me as a head coach, staff as assistants, and our players as players. We want to see who we are so we can now use that information and that experience to continue to grow at this phase, because growing in November is different than growing in December, preparing for the SEC. So now if we could get to do that, I'll be excited.
Dennis, I think CY said it a while ago, where recruiting like shaving, you got to do it every day.
Yeah.
But as you kind of come out of the COVID era, what are some of the challenges the staff faces kind of in that regard, but also how have you seen the staff adjust to it?
I think with recruiting, post-COVID, relationships are important. I think college basketball is changing. You have different dynamics with recruiting. You have G League Ignite taking place. You have OTE and different other organizations, giving guys a professional hub and a professional opportunity where they can forgo college basketball and the recruiting process to concentrate on the things that they want. You have overseas now starting to pull guys, specifically Australia, doing a good job. So there's different hurdles in the recruiting process, but what we have to understand is we got to find the kids that want to be here. And sometimes you got to cast a wide net. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more patient. Sometimes you got to obviously figure out and not recruit based off stars and recruit based off fit and development and execute a plan of a student athlete. Everyone's not a pro after 1 year. Everybody's not a pro after 2 years. But this environment at Mizzou has been able to galvanize some unbelievable pros. Look at Drew Smith. Look at Jordan Clarkson. Look at Kobe Brown. Look at Michael Porter Jr. Look at Demoy Hodge. And then obviously G League, you got guys there, you got guys overseas. So our environment has been able to fulfill dreams and aspirations, and I'm thankful for the relationship I have with all of our former Mizzou players, even those that are coaching, from Jared Sutton to his involvement as a administrator or scout, to Quinn Snyder, Phil Pressey. These guys are doing a tremendous job of carrying on their experiences at Mizzou, but also growing afterwards.
Coach, how much do you feel like recruiting high school kids is different from recruiting guys who are in the transfer portal?
I think it all is the same. You recruit good people that can see the best in your environment that they're trying to become a member of, and making sure, because it's never going to be easy, it's always going to be hurdles, but making sure they have the perseverance to get through whatever hurdle there is, because there is a more opportunity for kids to leave and hit the evacuation button in their careers and start over, whether it's by waiver, being a 2-3 time transfer, but also a 1-time transfer. Kids can now hit the reset button, and it's unfortunate, but it's their opportunity to rebrand themselves and rebrand their careers. So I look at it as a consistent way of evolutionizing college basketball and the relationship of coach to player, player to coach, and also coach to institution, player to institution. So it's just a new wave of where we're going in college athletics, and I'm just thankful that we're identifying the right kids, because with recruiting, you have to have great retention. Having Aiden Shaw back, and now if Aiden Shaw isn't able to have the pro career where the NBA chooses to invite him into that sacred place, that he wants to become a junior. Having Ant Robinson, Trent Pierce, and John Butler, who may not get the early reps, that they're not pulled away, but their experience allows them to trust our development, and they can now be okay with becoming sophomores. And now with that freshman group that we have that I mentioned coming in, you have from Aiden Shaw all the way down, matriculation in a healthy way in your program. And that's why I say it was important for Caleb Brown to come back. He's the longest tenured kid in our program who's been at Mizzou, regardless of who coached him. When you have that leadership and that connectivity and that leadership of a kid and their experience, and he didn't hit the evacuation button, that's important, and it gives confidence for other kids.
One final question.
Yeah, Demoy scored his first NBA points last night. I was wondering if you could just speak about what he's continuing to achieve.
Well, Demoy Hodge is a tremendous inspiration for the people from his country, the British Virgin Islands. They've rallied behind him. Even when I recruited, I was one of the only head coaches to go over and visit the island. And I have no problem visiting it, by the way. But one of the only head coaches to visit his family, his grandmother, his aunts, uncles, cousins, and I saw the infrastructure of the entire place, right? I saw the amount of love and protection they have for their next generation of kids. There's several others that have played along the way, but having Franklin Penn Jr. in our program at Cleveland State allowed us to get Demoy Hodge. Those are two British Virgin Island kids that I've been fortunate enough to coach. So seeing their growth and seeing Demoy's success as the first from his country to be in the NBA and to score, it means a lot. But I know Demoy's not satisfied with just scoring his first basket or just being in the NBA. He wants to have a long career, and he wants to learn. He's a sponge. He's going to give his very best, but he's representing not only Missouri, but he's representing Cleveland State University as well, because that's where he graduated from. He's representing others who may not have the opportunity. He's representing the young kids that sit in the stands during the MTE tournaments overseas. That's when Demoy Hodge first saw Florida State when I was an assistant, when he was a young kid watching these games. Malik Beasley, Terrence Mann, and Dwayne Bacon. He saw those games over there that we played, sitting in the stands, probably snotty nose and everything, but he was inspired to pick up a ball. So we cannot have these MTE tournaments not exist. Paradise Jam was the one that was in the Virgin Islands in the U.S. territory. These kids catch a ferry over there and they watch. And to have Demoy Hodge in our program representing Mizzou, Cleveland State, but also his entire country, that means a lot, man. And he's doing it on a big scale with the LA Lakers. I told him, whenever LeBron James pass you the ball, you better make that shot. So he's going to continue to work hard.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. MIZ.